The cleanup of one of the worst environmental hazards Hungary has ever experienced is underway 2 days after toxic sludge from an alumina plant burst out of a containment reservoir engulfing nearby towns. The lethal flood killed 4 people, seriously injured dozens from chemical burns, and devastated the homes of hundreds of people. 3 people remain missing tonight.
Describing the disaster as an ecological catastrophe, Hungarian authorities immediately declared a state of emergency in 3 counties after the lethal sludge swept cars off the roads and damaged bridges and homes of 400 people who had to be evacuated. Dozens of villagers were burned when the caustic material seeped through their clothing. 2 women, a young man, and a 3-year-old child were killed, and 2 others remain in critical condition. Medics are warning the masses that chemical burns can take days to emerge, and seemingly superficial injuries can turn deadly as they penetrate deeper tissue. Firefighters and soldiers wearing masks, rubber boots, and other protective gear are helping residents flush away the sludge with hoses, aided by bulldozers to scrape the polluted grounds. Surveying the aftermath from a bird's-eye view shows the enormity of the devastation as a sea of red mud could be seen for miles. Hungarian environmentalists say the alkaline sludge carries a pH value equivalent to lye, which is what caused the burns. When the alumina plant owners claimed the sludge was not considered hazardous waste, Hungary's interior minister responded angrily, suggesting they should take a swim in the sludge and see for themselves. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban told reporters the plant and reservoir had been inspected 2 weeks ago and no irregularities were found. Either way, the police have launched a criminal investigation, adamant to get to the bottom of who is responsible for this tragedy. One that is now threatening the Danube, a majestic stretch of water considered the continent's treasuries of wildlife.
Workers are racing to build an emergency dam in western Hungary to hold back a reservoir of toxic sludge. Residents in the affected area are facing evacuation over fears of a second torrent of the radioactive waste.
A grim assessment by authorities in Hungary just when residents were beginning to pick up the pieces of one of the worst ecological disasters the country has ever suffered that has claimed at least 7 lives. They warned that the damaged wall of a reservoir that broke last week would collapse, threatening to unleash a second torrent of toxic red sludge.
According to analysis, these walls for sure will fall down. Why? Because the movement of walls, logically speaking, are continuing. Why? Because behind the walls, 2.5 million cubic meter of red mud is pushing that wall. What is outside? Nothing, air, and there is a breakage.
A 25-meter crack in the alumina plant's northern wall was detected on Saturday. So in a race against time, disaster crews are constructing a 600-meter emergency dam to stop 500,000 cubic meters of sludge that still remains in the reservoir from escaping. Officials said today there had been no widening of the cracks on the reservoir, and they hope to finish building the emergency dam by tomorrow. And Prime Minister Viktor Orban is taking no chances. He ordered the immediate evacuation of 800 residents in the town of Kalantar, which lies closest to the reservoir. Meantime, many Hungarian families, like the Verbers, just want to put the tragedy behind them, but they can't. Another 6,000 residents near Kalantar have been told to pack a single bag and be ready to leave at a moment's notice.